much for tuning in. It's your girl Chanelle Novosey, and today I wanted to talk about Black History Month, and I wanted to bring a famous black artist by the name of Basquiat to a sketch drawing today, and I wanted to sketch this out. I have two printouts right in front of me. He was an amazing artist, and so I want to sketch him today for today's video. I'm gonna go ahead and start drawing Basquiat. Hope you enjoy this. Also, here's some history behind who he was as a famous black artist. Jean Michel Basquiat was a neo-expressionist painter. He is best known for his primitive style and his collaboration with pop artist Andy Warhol. He was born December 22nd, 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. He first attracted attention for his graffiti under the name Samo in New York City. He sold sweatshirts and postcards featuring his artwork on the streets before his painting career took off. He collaborated with Andy Warhol in the mid-1980s, which resulted in a show of their work. In his early works, Basquiat was known for using a crown motif, which was his way of celebrating black people as majestic royalty or deeming them as saints. Jean Michel's crown has three peaks for his three royal lineages: to be a poet, the other for him as a musician, and the other one as a great boxing champion. Jean measured his skill against all he deemed strong without prejudice as to their state or age. 3 years of struggle gave way to fame in 1980, when Basquiat's work was featured in a group show. His work and style received critical acclaim for the fusion of words, symbols, stick figures, and animals. Soon his paintings came to be adorned by an art-loving public that had no problem of paying as much as $50,000 for a Basquiat original. His rise coincided with the emergence of a new art movement, neo-expressionism, ushering in a wave of new, young, and experimental artists that included Julian Schnabel and Susan Rothenberg. In the mid-1980s, Basquiat collaborated with famed pop artist Andy Warhol, which resulted in a show of their work that featured a series of corporate logos and cartoon characters. On his own, Basquiat continued to exhibit around the country and the world. In 1986, he traveled to Africa for a show in the Ivory Coast. That same year, the 25-year-old exhibited nearly 60 paintings in an art gallery in Hanover, Germany, becoming the youngest artist to ever showcase his work there. So let's bring it back to his early years. Artist Jean Michel Basquiat was born in Brooklyn, New York on December 22, 1960, with a Haitian-American father and a Puerto Rican mother. Basquiat's diverse cultural heritage was one of his many sources of inspiration. A self-taught artist, Basquiat began drawing at an early age on sheets of paper his father, an accountant, brought home from the office. Basquiat was a precocious child who learned how to read and write by the age of 4. He was a gifted artist. His teachers, including artist Jose Macchiato, noticed his artistic abilities, and his mother encouraged her son's artistic talent. By the age of 11, Basquiat was fully fluent in French, Spanish, and English. In 1967, Basquiat started attending St. Anne's, an art-oriented exclusive private school. There he met his friend Marc Pazio. Together they created a children's book written by Basquiat and illustrated by Prozio. His parents separated, and he and his sisters were raised by their father. The family resided in Brooklyn for 5 years, then moved to San Juan, Puerto Rico in 1974, where Basquiat studied at St. John's School in Cariado. After 2 years, they returned to New York City. Basquiat dropped out of high school in the 10th grade at the age of 17. and then attended City As School, an alternative high school in Manhattan. Home to many artistic students, who failed in conventional studying. His father banished him from the household for dropping out of high school, and Basquiat stayed with friends in Brooklyn. He supported himself by selling t-shirts and homemade postcards. Basquiat transitioned from being homeless and unemployed to selling a single painting for up to $25,000 in a matter of several years. In 1976, Basquiat and his friend Al Diaz began spray painting graffiti on buildings in Lower Manhattan. In June 1980, Basquiat participated in the Times Square show, a multi-artist exhibition sponsored by Collaborative Projects Incorporated, Collab, in Fashion Moda. In 1983, Basquiat produced a 12-inch rap single featuring hip-hop artists Morales and K-Rob. Billed as Morales versus K-Rob, the single contained two versions of the same track, Beat Pop, on one side with vocals, and Beat Pop on the other side with instrumentals. The single's cover featured Basquiat's artwork, making the pressing highly desirable among both record and art collectors. As his popularity soared, so did Basquiat's personal problems. By the mid-1980s, friends became increasingly concerned by his excessive drug use. He became paranoid and isolated himself from the world around him for long stretches. Desperate to kick a heroin addiction, he left New York for Hawaii in 1988, returning a few months later and claimed to be sober. Sadly, he wasn't. Basquiat died of a drug overdose on August 12, 1988 in New York City. He was 27 years old, although his art career was brief. Jean Michel Basquiat has been credited with bringing the African American and Latino experience into the elite art world. After his death, the artist was back in the spotlight in May 2017 when a Japanese billionaire bought Untitled, a 1982 painting of a skull, for $110.5 million. The sale would set a record for the highest price for a work by an American artist and for an artwork created after 1980. It was also the highest price for a painting by Basquiat and by a black artist. So here's the finished product. I love how this turned out. I did use this fiber pencil for the first time, and I don't like the super effect that it gave a lot of it. I just used it for my signature, but then I wanted to outline the eyes, and I'm missing gave him a little bit of an under eye, so I may go back and highlight a little bit more parts because it does help everything to pop more out. But I'm very pleased at the drawing very much. I'm really upset about that pen part, but that's alright. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Sorry if my voice is a little bit low. It is actually like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to go to sleep. I hope you have enjoyed this. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Happy Black History Month. I hope you have learned a lot from this. Have a blessed day. Bye.